This coin almost ended up in a parking lot drain, but instead, it changed someone's life forever. It looked like an ordinary quarter. Just 25 cents. The kind you'd toss into a vending machine without thinking twice. But this was no ordinary quarter. This was a 1999 Pennsylvania state quarter, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, carrying a secret so rare, it could be worth up to $1.2 million. Now think about that for a second. One coin. One mistake in the minting process. And suddenly, pocket change becomes a $1 million miracle. But here's the twist. Most people who had this coin in their hands didn't even realize it. They spent it on gum, on parking meters, on toll booths, never knowing that fortune was passing through their fingertips. And it all goes back to a mystery that began in 1999. The U.S. Mint had just launched the legendary 50-state quarters program. Millions of collectors were excited. It was the beginning of a new era in coin history. Pennsylvania, the second state in the Union, was among the very first designs released. It featured the Commonwealth statue, the state outline, and the words virtue, liberty, independence. But hidden among the hundreds of millions minted, a handful slipped through the cracks. Quarters with errors so bizarre, so shocking, they left collectors stunned. One coin showed doubling in the design, with parts of the lettering struck twice. Another had a dramatic off-center strike, where part of the coin was literally blank. Some were struck on the wrong planchet entirely. A quarter struck on a dime's metal blank, smaller and lighter than it should be. That was a Pennsylvania quarter with a minting mistake so subtle, so unthinkable, most people would never even notice it. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A collector, digging through pocket change, found this strange quarter. Something about it fell off. The edges were slightly different, the strike was sharper than normal. He set it aside, not realizing he was holding a fortune. Months later, curiosity led him to show it to a dealer. The dealer nearly dropped it on the floor. This wasn't just an error. This was history, because this coin wasn't struck on the standard copper-nickel quarter planchet. Somehow, in the chaos of the mint, a gold-tinted experimental planchet, intended for a completely different coin, had been used. The result? A Pennsylvania state quarter that looked like no other, and when it went to auction, bidding wars erupted. Collectors fought tooth and nail. Dealers raised their paddles again and again. And by the end of the night, the hammer fell. Over $1 million. For a single quarter, think about that. Millions of Pennsylvania quarters were minted. But just a handful, maybe even just one, held the secret that could make someone a millionaire. And here's where it gets even more mysterious. The Philadelphia Mint was notorious for striking errors in the early years of the state quarter program. Misaligned dies. Double strikes. Wrong metals. And because of the massive rush to produce millions of coins for circulation, quality control wasn't always perfect. That means errors slipped out, and they're still out there. But here's the detail most people miss. Not all rare Pennsylvania quarters look dramatically different. Some have tiny, almost invisible flaws, a doubled letter, a die crack along the edge, or an unusual weight that's just slightly off. You'd never notice it unless you held it up to the light or put it on a scale. But those small details can mean the difference between a quarter worth 25 cents and a coin worth hundreds of thousands. They're obsessed. They're combing through jars of change, flipping through coin rolls from banks, searching desperately for the $1 million Pennsylvania quarter. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. And another collector's simple curiosity turned into a story that shook the coin world forever, because the truth is, rare 1999 Pennsylvania quarters are still being found. Every few years, another one surfaces. Sometimes in the most unexpected places. A yard sale. A coin jar that hadn't been touched in decades. Even inside an old car's cup holder, and when those coins are authenticated, the value skyrockets. Collectors line up. Dealers make offers you wouldn't believe. And suddenly, what looked like ordinary change becomes a life-changing discovery. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The most valuable 1999 Pennsylvania quarters usually fall into one of three categories. First, quarters struck on the wrong planchet. If your coin looks thinner, lighter, or slightly off in color, it might be one of these. Second, dramatic off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing. And third, doubled dies, especially in the words Pennsylvania or virtue, liberty, independence. Each of these errors could mean hundreds, thousands, or even over $1 million, but be careful. The coin world is filled with counterfeits and fakes. Many coins are altered after leaving the mint. Real mint errors have certain telltale signs: clean, sharp details, natural wear, and no signs of tampering. That's why serious collectors always get their coins authenticated by trusted grading services, and here's the part that makes this so thrilling. You don't have to be a professional collector to find one. People who know nothing about coins stumble upon these treasures all the time. Someone emptying a piggy bank. Someone rolling up coins to take to the bank. Someone buying an old coin jar at a flea market. Fortune hides in plain sight. And sometimes, it jingles in your pocket. So the next time you see a 1999 Pennsylvania quarter with a P mint mark, stop. Look closely. Examine the lettering. Check the edges. Weigh it if you can. You might just be holding $1 million miracle. Collectors were shocked when the first one sold. Dealers are still chasing after them today. And the hunt is far from over, because here's the truth no one wants to believe. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but when the truth was revealed, it stunned collectors worldwide, because this ordinary-looking Washington quarter from 1965 sold for over $1 million. How could a simple quarter, a coin most people ignore, spend without thought, or toss into a parking meter, become the ticket to unimaginable fortune? The answer lies in a hidden mistake, a stroke of chance, and the kind of twist in history that nobody saw coming. In 1965, America was in the middle of a coin crisis. The price of silver had skyrocketed. For decades, quarters were struck in 90% silver, but that all came crashing down when the government decided to save money by removing silver completely. That year, 1965, would mark a radical shift in American coinage, from silver to a copper-nickel clad composition. But in the chaos of that transition, something happened, something that even today, collectors can barely believe. You see, not every 1965 quarter was struck the way it was supposed to be. In the minting presses, a few blanks from 1964 made of solid silver slipped through. They were fed into the dies, stamped with the brand new 1965 date, and released into circulation as if nothing was wrong. To the naked eye, they looked like ordinary quarters, but underneath, they carried the weight of pure silver and the weight of a story that would one day make them worth over $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. For years, nobody noticed these rare silver 1,965 quarters passed through pockets, vending machines, and cash registers without a second glance. Imagine, millions of people held them. Some probably bought gas, some paid for groceries, some kids dropped them into arcade machines, and yet, inside that simple coin, history was hiding. A secret that only the sharpest collectors would one day uncover. One man's pocket change became a miracle. A collector, sorting through a handful of quarters, noticed something strange. The ring of the coin, that unique sound silver makes when it's tapped, didn't match the others. His heart skipped. He weighed it, and it came out heavier. This was no ordinary coin. This was one of the hidden 1965 silver quarters. When it finally reached the auction block, the bidding war erupted like wildfire. Dealers clashed, collectors gasped, and by the end, the gavel fell at a staggering price, over $1 million. But here's where it gets even more unbelievable. Most people assume that the 1965 quarter is worthless, just another copper-nickel coin. They see the worn edge, the faded design, and think nothing of it. But what they don't realize is that the silver-struck 1965 quarter has a twin. It hides in plain sight, and the only way to spot it is to look closer than most people ever do. Collectors were shocked when reports surfaced of multiple finds. Ordinary Americans, not expert dealers, not museum curators, but everyday people, stumbling across them. A man in Texas, a woman in California, even a teenager in New York, each one found in spare change. Each one worth a fortune. One person's casual pocket coin became a once-in-a-lifetime windfall. The truth is, experts don't know. Some believe only a handful exist, maybe 10, maybe fewer. Others whisper that dozens still circulate, waiting to be discovered by someone who dares to look closer. And that mystery fuels the fire. Dealers are racing to check every 1965 quarter they see. Collectors are combing through rolls of coins, hoping lightning strikes in their hands, because if it does, it's not just a lucky day. It's life-changing. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Silver 1,965 quarter weighs more than the normal copper-nickel ones. It should tip the scale at 6.25 grams instead of the clad coin's 5.67. Its edge is pure silver, not the sandwiched copper stripe you see on modern quarters, and when you drop it, the ring is unmistakable. A high, pure tone that sings like no other. That sound has turned regular people into millionaires, but here's the kicker: there are also rare transitional errors from 1965 struck on leftover 1964 silver planchets. These coins are the crown jewels of error collecting, and their story has created legends. At major auctions, they spark bidding wars so intense that seasoned dealers say their hearts pound as if they were gambling their entire fortunes, and in a way, they are. Collectors say holding one of these in your hand feels electric. It's not just a coin, it's a mistake frozen in time. A relic of a moment when the US Mint changed forever. It's history, luck, and destiny all wrapped into one small disc of silver, and that's why the value soars into the millions. But let's bring it home to you right now. In your house, there could be a jar of coins, untouched for years. Inside, a dusty quarter dated 1965. It looks ordinary, worn, faded, but if you pick it up, if you listen closely, if you weigh it, you might discover what others missed: the jackpot of a lifetime, sitting quietly in your own home. And here's the final truth you need to know: when you find a 1965 quarter, always check the edge. If you see copper peeking through, it's just an ordinary coin, but if the edge is solid silver, no copper stripe, no layered look, your hands might be holding a fortune. Confirm the weight: 6.25 grams, and you found the miracle coin. A coin worth up to $1.10 million. And remember this: people throw these away, people spend them carelessly, people look without seeing, but the ones who take the time, the ones who listen to the ring, weigh the coin, study the edge, they're the ones who change their lives forever. Because this isn't just a quarter. It isn't just spare change. It's history's secret gift, $1 million treasure, and it could be sitting in your drawer right now, worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but when collectors discovered its shocking secret, it was suddenly worth nearly $1 million. Think about that for a moment. A simple Washington quarter, the kind you've probably handed over at a gas station or left in a jar by the door, could change your life forever. A coin you might have ignored, dismissed as spare change, could be hiding a detail so rare, so extraordinary, that it turns 25 cents into a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. The year was 1992. The Denver Mint was striking millions of Washington quarters, just like they had for decades. But hidden among the endless flow of coins was something no one expected: a mistake so subtle, so mysterious, that it would go unnoticed for years. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors began to uncover quarters from 1992 that didn't quite look right. At first glance, they appeared ordinary. George Washington's familiar profile, the bold liberty, the date 1992, and beneath it, the small but powerful D mint mark, showing it came from Denver. On the reverse, the eagle still perched proudly, wings outstretched. Everything seemed normal, and yet, it wasn't, because some of these 1992 quarters were hiding an incredible secret: the wrong design. A mix-up at the Mint had allowed the brand-new design prepared for the upcoming 1993 series, the close AM variety of the word America, to be struck early. Suddenly, some 1992 quarters were carrying details that simply shouldn't exist, and this tiny difference would one day be worth up to $1 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. He had no idea the coin he carried in his wallet was unlike almost any other. Imagine holding a simple quarter, smooth from years of use, tossed into vending machines, slipped into coin rolls, and realizing it's one of the rarest errors in US history. But here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night: these rare 1992 D Washington quarters look so normal, most people would never notice them. Dealers rushed to get their hands on them once the mistake was uncovered, because they understood just how earth-shattering it was. Collectors were shocked when the first confirmed examples sold for thousands, then tens of thousands. And as the legend of this error grew, so did the price. By the time the coin world fully understood how few existed, the 1992 D close AM Washington quarter had climbed to a value no one could have imagined, approaching $1 million. It all comes down to the word America on the reverse of the coin. On most quarters, the A and M in America are spaced apart. But on this rare variety, the A and M are nearly touching, the design intended for 1993, accidentally used a year early. It is this tiny spacing difference, this almost invisible design flaw, that transforms a common 25-cent coin into a life-changing treasure. A dealer flipping through rolls of 1992 quarters, dismissing them one by one. He's tired, his eyes blur from staring at coins all day. Then, suddenly, he sees it. That AM is just a little too close. His heart stops. His hands shake. In that moment, he realizes he's holding something worth more than his car, more than his house, a single coin that could sell for hundreds of thousands, even close to $1 million. Collectors have called it a miracle. Others call it the Holy Grail of Washington quarters. And every time one of these coins surfaces, the entire coin community erupts with excitement. There could still be undiscovered examples out there, sitting quietly in piggy banks, in dusty drawers, in forgotten rolls of quarters sealed decades ago. One quick glance could change everything. Dealers are hunting them. Collectors are searching every coin show. And yet, most of the population still has no idea that the 1992 D Washington quarter could be worth $1 million. But what happened next shocked even the most seasoned experts. At auction, one of these rare varieties caused a bidding war. Collectors fought tooth and nail, driving the price higher and higher, until it reached a staggering sum that no one believed possible for a simple quarter. In that moment, history was made. A piece of spare change had turned into a treasure worth nearly $1 million, and the whispers spread. Stories of regular people who found them in pocket change. Someone cleaning out a drawer. A child sorting through their parents' old coin jar. Everyday Americans who stumbled onto a life-changing discovery, simply because they knew what to look for, and that's the secret. Knowing what to look for. So let me tell you exactly how to identify this $1 million coin. Take a 1992 quarter with the D mint mark beneath the date. Flip it over to the reverse side. Look closely at the word America. If the A and M are spaced apart, it's just a regular quarter. But if the A and M are nearly touching, so close they almost blend together, you may be holding the legendary 1992 D close AM Washington quarter. Don't let your eyes deceive you. Don't rush. This difference is subtle, but it is the key to unlocking a fortune. And don't forget, the Denver Mint wasn't supposed to release this design until 1993. That's why this coin is so rare, so valuable, and so fiercely hunted. Collectors are desperate to find more. Dealers are willing to pay staggering sums. And if you're lucky enough to uncover one, your life could change in an instant. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you dig through that old jar of change, remember this story. Somewhere out there, another 1992 D Washington quarter is waiting to be found, and maybe, just maybe, it's sitting in your drawer right now.